Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome back to the Lovely Wolf Den. It's Nadia, and today I'm going to be talking about my first year experience in college. So I go to a university that is about 45 minutes to an hour away from my house. When I was applying to colleges, I knew I wanted to go somewhere that was close enough to come home when I wanted to, but far enough to dorm because I wanted that type of experience. Honestly, after going through a whole full year of it, I can say I really loved it and I'm so happy with the college that I go to, and I just overall had a pretty good experience. But I narrowed it down to about 8 things that I wanted to talk about with y'all. The first thing is dorm life. I was really excited to dorm, and I was kind of nervous for the fact that I was going to be living with someone else, and not just living with someone else, but living with someone else like a few feet away from me. Like, thankfully my dorm rooms were well sized, but obviously like it's not a humongous space and there's a whole other person living in the room. My roommate was really cool. She was nice. I can't say that she wasn't nice. It's just we weren't friends. She was nice to me. I was nice to her. We said hi every now and then. If she was gonna leave the room late at night, she asked if I wanted the light off. We had a pretty respectable relationship, but we also lived really different schedules. So she did her thing, I did my thing. That was that. There was no bad feelings. There was no resentment. I kind of would like to say that I was pretty lucky in that sense, because I know it could have been so much worse and we could have like hated each other, which would have sucked because I spent a lot of time in my dorm room. Even though we still had a pretty respectable relationship with each other, it was still weird getting used to living in a room with someone else, because I don't know, when I'm here at home I can put the computer on and watch YouTube or watch Netflix, be chilling and all that, but in the dorm room, if she was doing something in the room, I didn't want like the noise from my computer to distract her, so I would always have headphones in. And this is something I'm pretty self-conscious about. Like, if I was eating a snack, I was always pretty self-conscious about my chewing, so I was just like in the room when it was like silent and I was eating, I was super aware of it, and I was like, oh gosh, what if I'm chewing too loud? But that was more on my end. But other than that, dorm life in general was pretty nice. I lived in a hall with 50 people in it, and initially at the beginning of the year it was so much fun. Everyone was super nice. We'd be in like this big group and it was so much fun. After the beginning of the year, it just kind of fizzled out a little bit and the energy just kind of died. Everyone kind of went off in their own groups and such, and then we just said hi to each other when we passed by each other in the halls. Oh yeah, and it was a co-ed hall, so like that was pretty interesting also. But like I said, everyone in there was pretty cool. I only had like 1 or 2 problems there, but that's like another video if y'all would want that. Next thing, this is kind of like a lesson that I learned during my first year, which is utilizing my time and like keeping myself in check. So in high school, it was so routine. You get to school at like 7:45, start class at 8, go until whatever time, like 1 something, and then I have a sport until like 5. 8 to 5. I don't know, I didn't even have to really think about my schedule that much, and you know, I would just come home, eat, do my homework, and then the whole thing would start again the next day. But in college, it's just so different with the different schedules, like having a class in the morning and then not having another one until night, and then having all this space in between to fill. I'm living on my own, so it was just like I had to keep myself in check and make sure that I was being productive when I needed to be and such. And honestly, it was a challenge because I was so used to the constant having something to do, and when I ended up with nothing to do, it was just like, I don't know, I didn't know how to like work with that and how to handle that. So it was really easy to just be lazy and procrastinate and just say, oh, I'll like wait till later, or take a bunch of naps. Like, if y'all saw a week in my life video, I took a nap quite often. I was never a napper like in high school at all. I just had to figure out how to better manage my time, and it's something I'm still struggling with, but I'd say I got better at it towards the end. I also learned how to be even more adaptable to new changing situations, since I'm on the quarter system at my school, which is like 10 weeks 3 times a year. So there's like a fall quarter, winter, and then spring. After 10 weeks my schedule changes again, and then I have to get used to a new like routine and stuff. It does still take some getting used to being able to switch around and figure out when's my study time, when's my free time, and just keeping that balance, I guess. Another thing that I experienced and kind of had to work through was imposter syndrome. According to the dictionary, imposter syndrome is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. To put in simpler terms, I felt like I wasn't supposed to be there. Like there must have been some mistake. I shouldn't have gotten accepted to this university. I shouldn't be here. And I felt that way a lot because I am constantly questioning my own like intelligence, for lack of better terms, and suddenly being surrounded by all these people of like different ages, different backgrounds and stuff, and they're so like well spoken and they carry themselves like differently than me, and they're just really great students. I was just like, oh gosh, should I be here? I felt like maybe I wasn't doing enough. So I had to keep reminding myself that I am here because I deserve to be, because I worked hard. Like I constantly thought back to my junior and senior year of high school, and I was like, yeah, I did work really hard to get here. I shouldn't be putting myself down like that. It was hard, and so, you know, sometimes it was a little harder than other times, but for the most part, I'd like to think that I got through that. Thankfully, I have a good support system around me, so that was pretty good. So yeah, that's something that I kind of encountered and learned how to work through and am continuing to work through. With that though, that kind of goes into my next point that I wanted to talk about, which is learning that not everyone is mean. I am someone that I don't care. It doesn't matter who you are. If I meet you, I'm just for some reason automatically gonna think you're so much cooler than me. I don't know why. I just put myself below everyone that I meet even before I even get to know them, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like they're so cool. I was intimidated by everyone, and like I was just so afraid that like everyone was gonna hate me. I'm always afraid of that. It's not good. Thankfully, I quickly learned that that is not the case. Obviously, I met my fair share of people, but majority of the people that I encountered were super nice. So everyone, for the most part, was not how I expected them to be. Were just as willing to come up and start a conversation because, hey, we're all in this together. Which also leads into the next point I want to make. Everything is kind of connected, but this also kind of leads into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, which is it doesn't hurt to talk to people in class. This is something that it took 2 quarters of me sitting and keeping to myself in all my classes to finally do something about it. In class, it was really nerve-wracking. I have a hard time just going up to someone and starting a conversation. I always feel better when I have a friend with me that I already know and that I'm already comfortable with to like, yeah, let's the 2 of us, let's go up and do this. But on my own, my confidence and my occasional extrovertedness comes in waves. So it was pretty hard to get out of that mindset that like I should not go up to anyone in class. It is okay to do that, mostly because odds are they want to succeed just as much as you do. So it doesn't hurt to like go up to people and like, hey, be like, hey, you know, you want to be friends and like, you know, maybe we could be study buddies for this class. And that happened in my spring quarter in this history class that I took. It was just a lot. And the professor had said like at the beginning, you should find like a study group and all that. And thankfully I kind of knew someone in that class. And so we quickly linked up and he knew 4 people in that class. And then when it came to our final, I remember I was studying for it on my own, but I like wasn't doing that great by myself. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna fail this final. But then he texted me at 10:30 at night and was like, come to the library, we're in this room number, we're studying, like come join us. And I was like, all right. So like I go out of my dorm at 10:30 at night and walk all the way across campus to the library, and then we were there until past 2 a.m. studying, and I ended up passing the final. So yeah, it was great. But yeah, I learned that sometimes you just gotta take that chance and talk to people in class, especially if it's going to be a hard class, because you know it always helps to have a study group. And your peers are one thing. I also wanted to talk about how I learned it is also okay and would benefit me a lot to ask the professor for help. Go to the office hours. Professors' office hours are probably the most intimidating yet most helpful thing ever, depending on the professor. I still struggle with this, but in high school it was so bad. Like I hated asking for help so much. I just hated it because I was intimidated by it and I didn't want people to think I was stupid, because I just feel like growing up I've had a lot of experiences where like I ask a question or like I say something and it could range from like looking at me the wrong way or straight up saying like you're asking that, the accumulation of that over the years will kind of turn into me not really wanting to ask for help because I don't want people to look at me like I'm stupid, which is a horrible mindset to have because you should feel okay to ask for help because, you know, you're trying to do your best and you're trying to succeed and stuff. So during this first year, I learned how to be better at asking for help and going to my professor's office hours after class, see what you can get out of it and build connections like with your professors. I didn't suddenly have this great awakening and now I'm like cool with all these professors that I had. No, really, I only got fortunate with one of my professors during my winter quarter. I went to her office hours so much, probably because it was my English class. I ended up leaving that class with her telling me, you know, in the future in any of your other classes, if you ever need help with anything, you have my email, you can come back whenever, I'd be more than willing to help you. So that was amazing. Yeah, I kind of got better at that, but I know I still have a lot to do. And, you know, my school, college in general, especially my school, is just, it's really overwhelming with how much help you have. There are resources for so many different things and so many places you can go to ask for help. It doesn't even stop at professor's office hours. There are so many buildings and organizations that you can go to ask for help, which is just like a lot for someone who is always afraid to ask for help and such. So, you know, we're learning, but we're getting better and it's all okay. So that was a lot of academic things just now. So I'm gonna switch gears over to some more social things that I learned how to navigate, I would say, a bit better during my first year of college. I did learn how to come out of my shell a bit more. I'm an ambivert, which means like I'm both introverted and extroverted. But recently I'd say that I'm a bit more introverted than I am extroverted, which is not a bad thing. I know it's not a bad thing, but it's really different because when I was younger, I was definitely so much more outroverted than I am right now. And a lot of that has to do with my anxiety and stuff. And that really was a challenge this year. In the middle of the year, I suddenly started to feel like really lonely and I was just like, oh gosh, like I have no friends. I want to go home all the time. Like, and it was tough. And I did come home almost every weekend during my winter quarter because I was feeling like that. But eventually I was just like, hey, you do have friends. You just need to go out and talk to them more. Because if I start feeling that way, I'll start kind of shutting myself out a bit more. I could talk about this for a long time, so I'll just kind of like wrap this up real quick. Bottom line is, I did help myself to talk to people more, and now I have a friend group there, which is cool. It took a lot. Once I talked myself up enough to go out and do things a bit more, I ended up meeting great people, like my current friend group. I got myself to finally go to the K-pop dance club, which was awesome because, I don't know, being around a bunch of people that like the same things as you is just, there's something so refreshing about that. And then to end on the lighter note, the last thing that I wanted to talk about was parties. Now, I go to a school where literally before I got there, when I was telling people where I was going, the first response was always, oh, the party school? I was just like, okay, yeah, the party school, that's where I'm going. I never went to parties in high school, mostly because I just didn't have friends that got invited. We were just the type of people that weren't told about these things or didn't have the guts to see the flyer on social media and want a DM for the Addy. So when I got to college, I was just like, oh gosh, we're at the party school. Like, what am I supposed to do? And I learned parties aren't everything. I went to a few with my friends and they were fun. Like, I had a good time for the most part, but I kind of realized this is fun maybe every once in a while, but it's not really my weekly scene. I realized that I preferred a lot more to be in with my friends and just like hang out. We played a lot of card games together, which was fun. But yeah, I preferred to be in a setting where I knew everyone there as opposed to some random house that I don't know the owner of and everyone there I do not know, and there's music playing that I've never heard before and it's kind of hard to hear because everyone is yelling. I sound so cynical and like an old person right now, but I don't know, to each their own. Like, I like parties to an extent, but I was just like, okay, I can't put that pressure on myself to go to parties because this is the party school. And yeah, no. So I learned that parties aren't everything to me. And, you know, we had those experiences and it was fun, pretty crazy. Maybe one day I'll do a story time on some of my experiences at like the, 3-4 parties that I went to. But yeah, if you managed to follow this video, congratulations. I'm so sorry that it was maybe all over the place. If y'all have been watching this channel for a while, you know that I don't really do this type of video ever, really, where I just stand here and talk. I kind of want to do that more because I do have things that I want to talk about, but you know, we have a hard time transferring our thoughts into coherent sentences. Yeah, if you watch this whole video, thank you. I'm sorry if it was like hard to follow and such. Overall, like I had mentioned at the beginning, I did have a great experience in my first year of college, and I can't wait for the years that are to come. And I love the environment that I'm in. I like the new level of education that I'm in. Yeah, I can't wait to continue it and share my experiences with y'all. On that note, thank you so much for watching another Lovely Wolf video. As always, please make sure to like and subscribe if you have not already. Comment down below anything you'd like to see any of the Lovely Wolf creators do, and follow our social medias. They will be in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Catch y'all later.